The summer home buying season is here. It's our first official podcast officially of the summer. Thanks for joining us. It is the Twin Cities Real Estate Pros podcast. My name is Ron Johnson, licensed real estate agent with REMAX Advantage Plus, joined as always by David Nelson, who is the worldwide leader of the Imperial Home Team, licensed with REMAX Advantage Plus. Kim Androff is here as well, brand new agent on our team. So a couple things we're going to talk about today, just as we do usually on the show. We're going to talk about the real estate market kind of in general, some pre-listings that we've got coming up, some needs for buyers. And today we're going to focus on real estate as a career. As both of you know, generally, most real estate agents didn't grow up and say, hey, you know what, one day I want to be a real estate agent. Most of us are career changers or were really successful or not so successful in something else and made a switch. So we're going to just talk about real estate agents, you know, what the job entails, the training, and just as a career choice, because I think that may be interesting to some people out there who maybe are considering the career and know kind of what goes into it.
And I think, too, just kind of learning where we even came from.
Yeah.
Because, again, like you said, none of us are 18 years old, just graduated high school and decided to go into real estate. We're slightly older than 18. I'm much more older than 18.
There goes my phone.
There goes
your phone. Right back.
So, Facebook Live down. Facebook Live down. So, yeah, just talking about what exactly, you know, why do we get into the business and things like that. So maybe while Ron's doing the technical work over there, I'll talk about, I got a couple of pre-listings coming on. Still have that one in Dundas, and we're probably not even going to hit the MLS. So if you're looking at a great home in Dundas and you want a 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom, something under $270 in a very desirable neighborhood, you got to contact me, David, at ImperialHomeTeam.com, because it's probably not going to go on the MLS. So if you're waiting for it to hit the MLS, you're going to wait a long time. So private showings, let me know. Sellers are allowing showings right now. We've actually had one agent come through twice, second showing. So there's quite a bit of activity on that one. Again, 4 bedrooms, 4 baths, $269 in Dundas. One I just picked up. It's a 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom, 2,700 square foot town or twin home in Lakeville. Price undetermined, probably in the 260-ish range. And the market, we haven't decided on what market date yet, but it's going to be at some point in the next month or so. So 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom, twin home. These do sell very quickly. I've done about 16 of these in the last 2.5 years, so they sell fast.
It's interesting. You said we're going to talk about what we used to do, and one thing I used to do as a career was broadcasting. Believe it or not, and see what you just did was called stretch, because like when something goes way out of whack and like the video's not there or the live truck goes down, they have to have
or the host isn't there.
Yeah, somebody's not there. They have to have somebody do what you do and just talk to fill the time while everybody else handles the disaster. So you did really good at that, and I've got to get rid of this awful Facebook live situation I had going on. So now we're all good.
And you're lucky because I have a lot of hot air.
So that's perfect.
And I was raised a farmer, so if not to demean farmers, but us farmers, we can talk.
Awesome.
I bought a lot of random things that don't make sense.
Okay, so we're looking forward to that listing, if it does list in Dundas. So come on, so that's what you've got going on. Any other listings in the hopper?
Nothing I can really talk about yet. It's kind of early preliminary stuff. But then we also have just kind of some buyer need. Particularly, I've got these clients that are actually moving from Dundas up to Lakeville, Prior Lake area, looking up to 375, 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, you know, at least. They would like some sort of private backyard and updated, move-in ready. They don't want to flip. They don't want something that's going to need a lot of work because they did that in the previous house. Now they want something that could just hang their hat and let the kids run wild.
Perfect. A couple of things I've got coming on, or at least in the works, nothing signed up yet, but a lot of conversations and talking about price and timing and things like this. I went out with a buyer last week who has a house to sell. He's got a 4-bedroom, 2-bath split in Burnsville. As soon as he finds, he's not necessarily in any kind of a hurry, so as soon as he finds something, we're going to get that listed. He's looking for a 2-story. He's got a split level, wants a 2-story, at least 4 beds, 2 baths in Burnsville, and then he'll have a 4-bed, 2-bath in Burnsville to sell. Looking just to get to a 2-level house and a little nicer home than he would. Not that the house he has is about $250. He wants to get up into the $400 range.
Nice.
So a nicer house that he's looking for, and it'll be a pretty good starter opportunity.
What do you find? I mean, are you finding good success in that price range? I know it's been hard kind of hit and miss, especially in the Burnsville area?
For what he's looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, we found a couple. We actually found one. We got there second day it was listed. Of course, they had an offer the next day. And it was a situation where I had just met with him. We went out to see a house, and he just wasn't ready yet for his house to get on the market, so we lost out on that one. We went out again a couple of days later, very similar situation. He saw two houses. He liked them both. And then, so I said, okay, well, I've got to get to your house. Like, I knew his address, and I did everything online and got him some general numbers. And I said, I've got to be able to see your house before I can give you any kind of recommendation. So I finally got out to his house, and by the time that happened, the other two houses were gone. So yeah, there's enough, I think, for what, and they care more about that. He just wants a 2-story house, and it doesn't have to be, everything totally updated and things like that. So his criteria isn't going to be very difficult to find. But the challenge there is everybody else, which has happened to us 3 times now. Yeah. Other people want that. So if you're looking in that 350 to 400 range, and you don't need the perfect house, there's some houses out there for you. But yeah, just in that situation, we weren't quite ready, or not even quite ready, not ready at all.
Yeah, period.
to put his house on the market. So kind of a lesson there, I guess, is if you got a house to sell, you've got to get that ready, because other people who don't have houses to sell or have their house sold are going to be ready to jump on it and purchase that house in Burnsville.
Well, and it comes down to it too, is as you're a listing agent too, when someone comes in, and we don't even look at contingent offers.
Right.
So I mean, either you got to get your house ready and have an offer on it before you can really go buy.
Exactly.
So you got to get your ducks in a row.
Yep. Yeah, and have it ready to list. And he's got a little bit of work to do, which is fine, because you don't want to run. And that's what I said. You could rush your house on and not have it quite ready, and that's going to cost you $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, or $250,000, because nobody's actually going to come buy it.
Right.
Or you look at it and you say, okay, it could be a 250 house, but a buyer comes through there and things just aren't 250. They look like they're 230 or something like that. So it costs you money not to be ready right away. So we've got that one working on over the summer. I've got another one getting ready to come on in Northeast Minneapolis. It'll be, and I think I talked about this a couple of shows ago. We were kind of targeting like 150. And then all of a sudden, everything in the neighborhood started selling for like 170 and 180. So we're going to change our strategy.
Prices going up a little bit?
Yeah. So when we started looking at it, there were like 4 pending houses within 2 or 3 blocks.
Yeah.
And they were all priced kind of in that 150 range. And they all sold for at least $10,000 to $20,000 over list price. So we're getting some things ready in the house, and then we'll have that coming on this summer. And then I've got another one in Chanhassen, a twin home. It's actually a guy I went to high school with. It's his mother, the home he grew up with. He now lives in Arizona. He's coming back in town over the 4th of July, and we're going to get that ready to have that coming on. So,
kind of maybe come back here and cool down a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's 120 there and only 90 here. So that's
one of my friends posted a thing on Facebook yesterday of his his thermometer in his car, 122 degrees.
Oh wow!
I mean, dry heat or not, it's still hot.
That's warm. That is pretty warm.
It melts pavement. Yeah.
So I've got those coming up, and other than that, 2 closings in June, 3 in July. I had 4, 1 fell through, which happens, and we can talk about that, I guess, more in the career portion of the show. Yeah, so I've got to figure out what to do since I already spent that commission money. That's
I know. It's like, oh,
that's too bad. We'll find him something else though. So yeah, that's kind of what we've got going on. So let's bring in Kim now, who is one of our new agents here. How many agents are we up to now?
Including me, myself, there's 7 of us.
Okay, so 7 of us. And your background, you have a property management background and also some connection to construction as well.
Right.
So that ties in nicely to real estate. So I guess,
a lot of similarities.
Yeah, give us the kind of the beginnings of when you decided it was time to become a real estate agent.
Well, when I was going to college, I knew that I wanted to work with people. I didn't know on what level, but I knew that I wanted to work with people. So I graduated with a communications degree, and I got into property management. I was in property management for like 10 years and kind of worked my way up, and towards the end there I was working with like investors and owners, and I just, I always had real estate in the back of my mind. So I got laid off from the property management, long story, or building sold. And so I decided to take the plunge and get into real estate, and I'm glad I did.
So you were doing rentals when you were doing property management? Like
yes.
A rental building? Okay.
Right, yep. Yeah.
And so you're about a month or 6 weeks or so into having your license?
Yes.
And I've only been doing this 3 years this month, so I'm fairly
happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you. June 30th, I think, is when I got my license 3 years ago. But I think even then, I did all of my license training online. I think I was one of the first groups of people to be able to do that here in Minnesota. How did you go through your license training, and what did you think of that experience?
I went through Kaplan, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I did the online classes, and it was really engaging and really interesting. So yeah, I'm glad I did the online classes. I could do the classes at my own pace, and so.
So forgive my ignorance. I went back and I did mine and actually sat in the classroom. Mm-hmm. So with the online courses, is it just kind of like pre-recorded, or do they actually have, is there any like live? No. So it's nothing. It's all recorded.
And it's, you have to. I want to say, is it 90 hours?
90
is that
hours.
What it is?
Yeah.
So it's timed. So you open up a chapter, and there's a little timer in there. So if you're a speed reader, you still have to sit there.
Like our CEs,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if it's it's a 12-minute chapter, and you get through it in 8 minutes, you still have to sit there for 4 minutes, and that's how I guess they come up with the 90-minute time.
Sure.
And you can't skip through.
No.
So you actually have so if you have tests at every like there's a chapter test and like a unit exam or whatever it is,
Right.
and you have to pass those. So if you don't pass those, then you have to go back to the beginning of the chapter. So it's not. It's not like you're online, so you can just kind of slough through it and
Sure.
make it through, because then you're forced to then go back, and then again you have those timers where you
Right.
can't just jump ahead. So if you have that extra time, it's better to go back and read through the chapters, so you make sure that you pass that test.
I mean, you're only dealing with people's largest financial
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
situation. Why not? You should know what you're doing.
So I did my totally online, and then I think if I remember, if you had questions, maybe there was an email or something that you
Okay.
could
Right.
could send. But yeah, you don't see. There's not like a two-way Skype type thing or anything like that. But I guess it depends on lifestyle and what kind of time you have. Like when I was working full time, a 40-hour-week job with the time when I was studying and had a baby at the time, so online was great for me because I could do it on my phone, like on the ride to work. My wife and I at the time were driving to work together, so I could do 15 minutes or whatever on the phone, or you had a break, so you could find time to do it at various different times.
Yeah.
And now maybe some of my clients are, I guess that makes sense. He did his his testing online.
We'll strike that from the record.
Yeah. Other than just dealing with people and the property management, obviously when you get into this, we're all commissioned. There's no salary or benefits and those type of things. So you kind of really have to commit to all that and
Right.
have those things set up in a plan and all those. So how do you kind of attack that early on?
As far as going from a salary to a commission?
Sure.
I mean, I just feel like, it's all based on how hard you work. And so, and I guess with property management, it just became really tedious and repetitive, where real estate's different. And I think that's why I enjoy it so much. But, that doesn't bother me, that part of it. I just feel like, if you work hard, you're going to, it's going to be like a wash.
And I'm interested, David, one of your jobs as the worldwide leader of the Imperial Home Team is recruiting and training. So
Correct.
We mentioned at the top of the show, it's not like you grab a resume and it says, okay, went to college and majored in real estate sales and did these 3 real estate jobs and you get hired, right?
Right.
So it's a little different recruiting, I think, for this type of job, because you're not necessarily looking for like the resume experiences and check things off, but more so the person experiences, yes, that can relate,
Yeah.
but not as straight lined as if you were going for a regular office job or something like that.
Well, the biggest thing I look at is, my past history. I was an occupational therapist, so I worked in rehab. And I would tell my clients, I can teach you a lot of things, but I can't teach you motivation. So I kind of transcend the same thing into when I'm looking at agents. Is like, okay, you can learn how to do paperwork, you can learn how to do Facebook ads, blah, blah, blah. But if you don't have the drive and motivation to do so, and I also throw in the integrity, you have to, if you don't have the motivation to succeed, you're not going to succeed. And I'm one of those that I'll work as hard as my clients or as my team members or as my old patients. But if I work harder for their business than they do, it's kind of mixed up signals. Mm-hmm. So when someone comes in and Kim is very, she asks questions, she's motivated, she's driven. That was really what drew me to her, is I can't teach that. So she already has that in her back pocket. I can show her to do paperwork. And it's the things, that's the intangibles that I look for that, you can make someone succeed. I mean, yourself, Chris, people that you look at, like they do the things on top of the basic stuff they teach you in class.
Right, and paperwork is usually one of them that I actually don't teach in class, so it's good. Isn't that kind of amazing? That's to me is somewhat amazing. Like you learn a ton of stuff. There's so much to learn, and you'll never learn everything. Even if once you start and you have a good trainer or mentor, coach, team leader, you're still never going to learn everything, right? Because there's always that one situation out there, and the rules have changed. Mm-hmm. But there are situations where, like for instance, I was going to do a rule development purchase agreement. Nowhere in my class did I learn how to write a rule development purchase agreement, right? So the paperwork, I think, is the most, probably at the end of the day, right? Because it's all in writing, the most important thing. But I don't know that you get much training with that, other than, okay, here's what a purchase agreement looks like, but not necessarily how to fill them out for each individual situation, which you do hopefully learn once you go start working for your broker. But how's the paperwork been for you, going back to looking at your training and what you need to now do in action?
Yeah, at Kaplan we went line by line and literally read through it, but it was very fast, and so I mean, and it's a lot of pages, so.
And a lot of options, right?
Right.
The language is not clear. Has, not, shall,
right.
And ways that you don't actually.
How many days, and what's a business day? When does it start? When does that start?
Right.
When you put an offer in, they'll show you all the paperwork at Kaplan, but you don't need all that paperwork.
Right.
What's the difference between the FHA and a cash buy, or a short sale, foreclosure, traditional? So there's a lot of paperwork, but you don't need them for each one. So what's required?
What do you need for that individual situation?
Correct.
And what are the options on there? And then how the heck do you explain that to your client, who is a school teacher or whatever they do, and they don't understand legal paperwork, because there's no reason why they should.
Right.
Okay, because we're pretty good, I think, at understanding stuff, what the paperwork means. Sometimes it can be a challenge, though, to translate that to somebody who may not understand all the language, and that's a big part of our jobs.
And then people kind of freak out too. It's a contract, it's scary, but it's not. The wording it's so redundant that the contract themselves aren't that crazy. It's just how do you explain it in terms that it makes sense to them? Because when they look at all these, like a purchase agreement, and 20 pages, let's say, like, oh my God, they freak out.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is why this happens, and X, Y, Z, and it just kind of puts them at ease. So again, we should know what we're doing, but I think what takes a good agent is explaining to anybody what they're signing, what they're filling out, what are the ramifications if they don't do this or do that, and at the end.
Yep. Yeah, one thing that and I don't find it funny, I kind of giggle a lot, but then, so you have the purchase agreement, it's got 38 pages to it, and then you get a counteroffer, and you fill out a counteroffer addendum, and you put one line on there. And without fail, usually in a buyer's situation, so we changed the purchase price to $300,000, and it was at $295,000.
I know where you're going.
And there's a bazillion other things written in the contract, and they say, well, I want them to pay 3% in the closing costs, I don't see that on here. Well, it is, and on the counter agreement, it says something along the lines of this only affects what's written here, and everything else is the same. But people kind of think that, okay, well, I'm signing this, so now it only means the one thing on there, but still all the 300 other things that are in effect on your original agreement are still there. And I think it makes people uncomfortable because they don't see.
Well, they get nervous.
Yeah.
Because, same thing, if you submit an offer, let's say I'm going to buy your property, I offered at $300 and we negotiate. So on the purchase agreement, it has $300 asking price. We negotiate $325, so that $325 goes in the counter offer. Well, all of a sudden your sellers are like, why would I sign the purchase agreement? It says $300. Like, well, no, the counter offer supersedes, whatever's on the offer. On the flip side, I've actually received counter offers from agents that will regurgitate everything on the purchase agreement, even that we didn't change it.
Sure.
And I'm like, you don't have to. Just
Right.
What did we change, and let's keep it clean, keep it neat.
And check that box that says on the purchase agreement,
Yeah.
the purchase agreement is amended by the counteroffer or whatever
Yep.
it is. So anyway, so that's a little bit, I guess, about the paperwork. So a couple of weeks in, I'm sure you've sold probably 10, 12 houses by now.
Yep.
Just rolling right through it. But what have been some of the surprises, I guess, for you so far?
I don't think there's really been any surprises. I mean, like someone recently told me that real estate is not a job, it's a lifestyle. And I'm starting to learn that. But what's nice about real estate is that, like I mentioned before, like every day's different. Every day's like interesting. And so, so far everything's been working out. And I mean, other than kind of like learning the, websites and things like that, I mean, everything's going pretty well.
Are you finding too, like in both, all three of us came from a job that was structured, go to work, and you punch out, and are you finding it hard to kind of manage your day? I know that's one of the biggest problems with real estate agents is like, oh my God, I'm my own boss. I can watch The View all day long and I'm still going to make money. I'm like, you're probably not going to. Yeah. It's particularly watching The View.
Yeah.
So how's that going? I mean, are you able to like set aside time for your schedule? Or
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, I think I've always been kind of structured, and I think you have to have, like, you know, an itinerary and a plan of what you're going to do when you wake up. So, and that's what I try to do. I try to do something every day that's related to real estate.
Yeah. For me, prior to my main career, I guess prior to real estate, I was a sportscaster for about 13 or 14 years. The schedule was all over the place, but the show was at 10 o'clock or 7 o'clock, so you had to be there at 7 o'clock. You know, so you could kind of, or if you had to be at a press conference started at 2, you had to be there too. So you were told where to be and all these things. So I think the transition for me, as far as having to stay on top of myself, has been a little bit of a challenge sometimes here or there, but I enjoy that a lot. And you brought up, you said that it's a lifestyle, and we went to Knox. It was what's Knox? David Knox, the training we went to. One thing I thought was really interesting that he said, among others, but he said, because when you sit down with your new broker or team leader, said, what are your goals? What are your goals? And all they want you to say is that my goal is to make $100,000, right? He said, set a goal for your life and work real estate into that. Because if it is your goal to make $100,000, that's great. If it's your goal to make 75, that's fine. If you want to make 250, that's fine. But what does that mean for everything else? What does it mean for if you're, you know, married or in a relationship? What does that mean for your kids? If you like to work out, if you like to go to whatever it is you like to do, can you make $250,000 and still do all the other things that you can do in your life? Or if you've got nothing else going on, you probably can do better than 50,000. You know,
so that's where that motivation comes.
Right. Yeah. So find those goals make real estate a part of your. And granted, all of our incomes help set up a lot of things in our lives, but at the same time, you've got other things going on that you want to do. So not everybody's going to make 250 because then you can't do anything else. So I think the lifestyle thing is a really good point. You have to kind of weave that into your life and have motivation to say, okay, well, my motivation is I want to take care of my kids and we would like to go on vacation, but you need money to do that. So you do have to get up and go to work once in a while. Right? So I think that's kind of where your motivation point comes.
And plus too is make it a lifestyle change, but don't let real estate consume your life either. And hopefully I'm not going to badmouth anybody in particular, but I'll see things on Facebook and stuff like, oh my God, I work 80 hours a week and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, that's way too much. You shouldn't be working 80 hours a week. And it isn't hard to see when someone's working 80 hours a week in this business, you should be a millionaire. I mean, if that's the case. So they're probably not doing it right. I mean, just coming into the office and looking on YouTube videos isn't working. So you got to work smart too. So same thing with Ron, he's got a family. You do your real estate, but you also have to spend time with your family. Right. You know, set aside date nights, set aside family nights. Right. So don't let real estate run your life, but also, you know, kind of you have to modify your life because, you know, our job is really based on other people's lives.
Availability. Sure. Yep.
So exactly. The majority of people have a job, you know, 8 to 5.
Right.
So we don't normally go show houses at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday morning. It's 5:30, 6 o'clock on a Wednesday night or weekends. But then you have to offset those times where you're taken away from your family, from your loved ones. Make sure you make up that time. Because before you know it, you're 60, 70 years old, and yeah, you maybe made some money in real estate, but you have no friends, your family hates you, and you have no memories.
Exactly. So we all sit around and tell stories about these great closings, but I guess when I'm 67, I want to have better stories than just all these great closings of things that have happened to me in the last several years.
The great closings you have are going to allow you to do these great things. Like, hey, you know, I took your kids to Belize. You bought a Death Star.
Right. Yeah. You bought. Yeah. Good.
That's my goal.
Where do you keep that?
Space.
In space. Okay. So that's like you kind of like you can buy a star. A star named after you.
One of the worst. Again, I'm hoping not to offend anybody. Like one of the worst gifts ever. Yeah, you buy someone a star. Yeah. And you name it after him. You know, Alpha Ronturi or something.
Yeah. And I think one of the things too that I thought was funny when I was making my transition into real, and I had done some intermediate things between broadcasting and real estate, but people would ask me, man, that's a tough schedule. You got to work nights and weekends. But I came from broadcasting, and I worked at the time. I was living in Nashville, and we worked on the news, and it was on at 10 o'clock. So every night at 10 o'clock, somebody was there at 10 o'clock every night actually work. Like when you turn on the TV, those people are actually there at 10 o'clock and they're there till 10:30 and then they don't get home until 11:30. At least with real estate, generally speaking, you're not out working at 10 o'clock. You might be on your phone or doing some things online,
Sure.
but you could still be at a restaurant, at home, kicking your feet up, watching the game or whatever, and just kind of getting on your phone and doing things like that for work. So I find the flexibility to be great and the schedule not as crazy, believe it or not, as when I was doing broadcasting.
And also too is, and I've told this to Kim and everybody else, is you're not working for REMAX, you're not working for the Imperial home team, you're working for yourself. So again, it's like you're growing your own business. So you should have some pride and excitement, and all of a sudden you've gotten your first closing, and that's a big deal. And then you got your second closing. Before you know it, closings are coming in like no problem, and then you're looking, how can I grow my business in other ways? So when you start focusing, you're looking at your real estate as a lifestyle, but also as a business. All of a sudden it's life gets pretty easy, and you're going to have more time to enjoy life, probably more funds to enjoy life, and the stressors shouldn't be there. But in the beginning with a new agent, it's hard.
Right.
And I'm not going to hope I don't scare anybody, but when I took the class, the teacher, like when the last week I was there or something, I did mine on weekends because I was working full time too. The teacher goes, all right, everybody look around. So everyone's looking around the classroom. He's like, 80% of you will be out of the business in 2 years. And you can kind of pinpoint which ones we're going to be out. But, because everyone thinks like, oh, it's like I watch on Bravo TV, so I'm going to come out with my real estate license. I'm going to sell $5-10 million homes, and it isn't that way.
Right.
And after you burn through your friends and family, maybe get a couple deals out of them, then what? So you have to have a plan of how to generate more business and how to stay relevant and how to go, because you are starting your own business, and even probably another 15 real estate agents. Everyone knows agents, so treat it like a business, stay focused, and things will come your way. Hang in there.
I think you have to figuring out who you are and what you're good at and not good at. That's, I think, is almost just as important as knowing what you are good at, and figure out what works for you. And I'll stroke your ego a little bit here, David. But one of the things I enjoy working.
Oh, please don't.
Working with
Stop.
you is you don't. A lot of actually, some agents, brokers, team leaders say, okay, here's the model, go do it, right? But that model doesn't necessarily, it may work fantastic for you.
Right.
But if it was just as easy as just handing out your model and say, okay, go do this, then everybody would be really successful at it. But not everybody has the same skill. Like you and I, there might be 10 sets of skills. You and I may cross over on 5 or 6 of them. Mm-hmm. You may be better at the other 4, and I may be better at the other, or whatever. Yep. So kind of finding what fits you. Because if you're not somebody who is going to get up every day and bang out phone calls at 9 o'clock in the morning, then that shouldn't be on your plan.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
But you'll work for some team leaders that say, okay, every day 9 o'clock we're getting on the phone. Well, if that doesn't work for you, you're going to fail. And it's not because you're a failure, it's just because that plan is the wrong plan for you. Right? So finding, and I think that's what I appreciate about you, is that you give some ideas, thoughts in here, but it's not, okay, you have to do all these 10 things every day kind of thing.
Right.
Well, and it bounces back too, is like, I do value everybody on my team's business, and I will work hard for them. But the same thing too is if someone's very content at doing 5 deals a year, then hopefully not. They probably won't be on the
Unless
team.
they're $1 million deals.
Yeah.
Which they're probably not.
Especially South Metro. But you have to look at too, is like, okay, if you have to figure out what they want to do for their business and stuff, and if they've got the drive to succeed. Well, not everyone likes to make phone calls. I personally hate cold calling, but I like the technology side. Some people may hate the technology side, but they like the calling side. So, but if you surround yourself with people that have different skill sets, you can feed off each other. And I think that's why as a team we have a really good mix of people that don't mind the calls, people that like the technology. So you kind of have that intertwining.
Yeah, and just I guess from a development state. So I got my license June. I'm not good at math. 2013, and started. Wasn't really a full-time agent until March of that next year. And in my first full year, I sold I think $2.7 million in business. When most of that business was actually handed to me by a team system. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have to do a ton of work drumming up business. I had to do a lot of work as far as getting them closed and things like that. The next year is kind of a mix between my own business and business that was basically handed to me. And when I say handed to me, the people were handed. I still had to go chase them down and do things like that. But I did $3.2 million my second year. Now I'm in my third year, and I kind of set a goal at about 4.8 or so, and I'll hit that in 2 weeks. So I've already...
Well done.
Yeah,
Congratulations. That's serious. That's great.
Yeah, so I'll beat... I'll way over my first year, and then I'll beat my second year, and then beat my expectation in 2 weeks. Some of that is dumb luck. Some of it's a lot of work, but I think more of it is just kind of finding what worked for me. And then, I've got a chance to, and that's it. By the end of this month, I'll have beaten my goal, but I'm not going to take the rest of the year off. Otherwise, I'd love to, but and that's something I didn't really understand. Like you hear, well, what do you want to do? Well, I want to sell 4 million or 5. I don't even know what that means. Or at the time, didn't really even know what that meant. So I guess when you're kind of sitting down thinking about goals, I guess it's better to understand. Because again, going back to everybody in real estate is going to make $100,000, which isn't true. But that's what everybody. That's kind of that target because it kind of makes everybody think, oh, I'm going to be rich or whatever. But I think it's interesting because it's not really all about numbers. If you do the work, the numbers. I guess the whole point is if you do the work, the numbers will get there. I guess the kind of the
well, and also too, I have a lot of friends with other different companies, and there's some team models where sure they're going to close 45 deals. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But they're taking home 25% of their commission check.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you. I'm not afraid to work, but I would like to work the same amount of time, but make more money, put more money in my pocket. And I'm not one just to work because I want to break even or like just to have fun. Why not work with a company? And I'm going to ask you too why you picked REMAX. But why? It's nice to work for a company that allows you to put more money in your pocket because you're doing the same amount of. Each job is about the same amount. Why not get paid the most for it?
Right. Death Stars are expensive, so you can't be giving away 75% of your commission.
Yeah, I have a long ways to go, so I'm hoping that I can live to be 5,000 years old.
Right. But yeah, no, that's a good point because you can work for a lot of different brokers. You can have low fees and high commissions, low commissions, high fees. There's all sorts of, or you can have no fees and high commissions and no support. Right. But as far as the model, and again, I guess we'll stroke REMAX Advantage Plus's ego here a little bit. But what made you pick this company when there, obviously there's so many other companies out there?
Yeah. While I was going to school, I kind of had two in mind. And so I came to REMAX and met with Nate Ryan, and he gave me like a packet to take home, and then I met with David, and I really liked that there's teams to work on, especially when you're a new agent just starting out, and so I just thought it'd be a better. I mean, I would really like it here, and so far I really have.
And what do you think of not so much the team training, but like the REMAX itself? And a lot of companies tout, we have awesome training. I've been to a couple companies, and I've came over here, and I've realized that we have amazing training within our company. Are you finding that you're getting your needs met with
Yes.
REMAX? Okay.
Absolutely. Frank, you.
Well, we'll give Frank Wentz props to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good point too because we pay we have fees here and we have commission splits, and I think the commission splits are really good. But for your fees, you do get something back. You get the training, you get access to all sorts of technology. So much that you can't even implement it all into your business because there's just so much of it.
Yep.
But again, that's some of those things are going to work for me, some are going to work for you, some are going to work for you. So you at least have options instead of here's
one thing.
Go for it and pay me a bunch of money a month for it, or whatever it is. But so just the opportunity, the brand name obviously is fantastic, and that confuses the heck out of people too with REMAX because not all REMAXs are created equal.
Correct.
So, but yeah, the opportunity to learn a lot, to interact with other. We have a Facebook group that I think is outstanding, and that's where I go if I have a question about something. Now the first thing I do is go to our Facebook group and say, hey, I need help with this, and without fail, somebody is there to answer questions too.
Well, we're really lucky with our Advantage Plus is we have some extremely successful agents that have been in the business for decades, and when I was thinking of coming over here, people always said, oh, REMAX, when you go here, you're just going to be a drop in the bucket. No one really cares. I'm like, that's the complete opposite. You can come in, you can ask questions, and there's some people that will take time to answer your questions that are extremely successful, which I found valuable because I don't want to be, when I looked at where I want to be in my life, I'm not going to surround myself with people that are happy with doing 5 transactions a year because they're not probably going to offer much information.
Right.
Why not focus with people that do over $1 million in commissions? Like, what are their secrets? What are their tricks? And they're willing to tell you that. You know, so but you have to implement it. But yeah, it's been a great company to work for. The support staff is awesome. Our owner, Eric Malmberg, you know, he's top notch, and that's why he gets Broker of the Year consistently. You know, we have Ryan O'Neill, the Minnesota real estate team, the #1 REMAX team in the world. Not too shabby.
Yep. And you mentioned Ryan. I've never actually met him, but he's been a great resource for me for any questions that I have that that somebody else can't answer. So just as an example of the resources that we have and the people that, like Ryan's never going to make a dime off of me, but he's willing to help out. So that just kind of shows a lot about, I guess, who he is and kind of the culture here as well.
Yeah, and again, too, you're within the office, and there shouldn't be any competition amongst agents in the office. You know, because there's enough business in the whole world for everyone to have a very healthy living. So I appreciate the Ryan O'Neills, you know, the Scott Hutchinsons, the Sean Slovises, that you ask questions, they're going to tell you, because you know what? They want you to succeed. They want our company to succeed, and that's kind of the overall goal.
Yeah. So you're going to stick around?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, perfect. All right.
If you're thinking of wrapping up, let me know.
We got all day.
Okay, because I'm gonna plug something that coming on. We do have a home buyer seminar on the books for June 30th. It's Thursday, 6 to 7 o'clock. It's going to be an hour or so. It's put on by us, the Imperial Home Team. Also, we're going to have a lender there too to answer some questions. But we're going to kind of go over the 7 steps of buying a home. So it doesn't matter if you're a first-time home buyer or if you haven't bought a house in 5 years, because in 5 years the things have changed. And it's amazing. People are like, oh my God, I can do things electronically. I'm like, yeah. There's a lot of things that need to be done. So we're putting on a seminar to answer your questions. It's going to be about an hour long. It's at the Lakeville Arts Center in Lakeville. Look on our podcast website. We'll have more details. It's free, and when you show up, you're going to get some special discounts that we'll talk about once you're there. So there's a plug when you come there. You'll get some pretty good incentives for buying a house.
All right, awesome. So there you go. And if anybody is actually interested in whether it's the seminar or buying or selling a house or becoming a real estate agent, David Nelson with REMAX Advantage Plus would be a perfect person to talk to in all of those avenues. So hopefully we touched a little bit about what it is to get into real estate and what it is as a career choice. So thanks for sharing that with us, Kim.
Thank you.
And we hope you'll come
having
back
me.
and tell us about all your listings and the success that you're having.
Absolutely.
All right, so this is the Twin Cities Real Estate Pros podcast. You can catch us on our website, twincitiesrealestatepros.com. Also on YouTube at imperialhometeam.tv. The audio version of the podcast is on SoundCloud and will be on, I already said YouTube. And we're on Facebook Live over there. We were on Facebook on my phone, but my phone fell, so we're not. But maybe I'll be able to figure out how to make it stand up next week. Thanks for joining us.